Cynthia Okonkwo was running through Incheon Airport like her life depended on it, her 4-year-old daughter Ji-soon bouncing on her hip, designer luggage cart abandoned somewhere near baggage claim, phone pressed to her ear, while her best friend Chisholm screamed instructions from Paris. "Gate 47, you have 12 minutes before they close it." I know, Cynthia gasped, her natural hair flying loose from its carefully pinned style, Louboutins clicking frantically against the polished floor. Other travelers stared as this stunning black woman in a pristine cream pantsuit sprinted past them like an Olympic athlete. Ji-sun giggled, completely unbothered. "Mommy, faster, like the airplane." "Baby, Mommy is trying." And then she slammed directly into someone's chest. Hard. The impact sent her phone skittering across the floor, Ji-sun squealing with delight, and Cynthia stumbling backward into arms that caught her before she could fall. Strong arms. Arms that smelled like bergamot and something else, something that made her brain short-circuit for reasons she couldn't immediately place. "I'm so sorry," a deep voice said in accented English. "Are you hurt?" Cynthia looked up and forgot how to breathe. The man holding her was possibly the most beautiful human being she'd ever seen, and considering she'd spent the last 5 years in the fashion capitals of the world, that was saying something. Sharp jawline, kind eyes behind designer glasses, perfectly styled black hair, and a concerned expression that seemed genuinely distressed by their collision. I'm fine," she managed, stepping back quickly, her heart doing something weird and uncomfortable in her chest. "We're late for our flight. I wasn't looking." "Mommy, you dropped your phone!" Ji-sun pointed helpfully. The man was already retrieving it, along with Cynthia's scattered belongings. When he handed her phone back, their fingers touched briefly, and Cynthia felt that strange jolt again. Recognition? No, that was impossible. She'd never seen this man before in her life. Had she? "Gate 47, he asked, noting her panic. "That's my gate, too. Come on, I'll help you." Before Cynthia could protest, he'd grabbed her abandoned luggage cart with one hand and was speed-walking toward the gate with the efficiency of someone who knew every shortcut in this airport. Cynthia had no choice but to follow, Ji-sun waving goodbye to confused passengers as they passed. They made it with 3 minutes to spare. "Thank you so much," Cynthia said breathlessly, taking her cart back. "You're a lifesaver." The man smiled, and something about that smile made Cynthia's chest tighten. "It's no problem. Are you visiting Seoul or—" "Business," Cynthia said quickly. Too quickly. "Just business. 2 weeks, then we're gone." Ah. Was that disappointment in his eyes? "Well, welcome to Seoul. I hope you enjoy your stay." He walked toward the first-class line, and Cynthia noticed several flight attendants straightening up, suddenly very attentive. Someone important, then. She clutched Ji-sun closer and headed to her own boarding group, willing her heart to return to its normal rhythm. She didn't see him again until they were airborne, and she was passing the first-class section to use the bathroom. He was asleep, glasses folded on the tray table, head tilted back against the seat. In sleep, he looked younger, more vulnerable, and so familiar. Cynthia hurried past, fighting the urge to stare. "Mommy, why do you look scared?" Ji-sun whispered when she returned to their seats. "I'm not scared, baby." "You have your scared face, like when we watch scary movies." Cynthia kissed her daughter's forehead, inhaling her baby shampoo scent. "Mommy's fine. Let's watch Moana again, okay?" But she wasn't fine. Because something about that man's face, his voice, his presence, had awakened memories she'd spent 5 years trying to bury. 5 years ago, Cynthia had stood at a wedding altar in Seoul, waiting for a man who never came. The humiliation had been crushing, 300 guests watching as minutes turned to hours, whispers growing louder, her ivory hanbok-inspired gown feeling heavier with each passing moment. His mother had finally approached, ice in her eyes. "He's changed his mind. You're not suitable for our family. Go back to Nigeria." "I'm from Chicago," Cynthia had whispered, but Mrs. Kang had already turned away. The worst part? Cynthia had been 8 weeks pregnant. She'd found out 3 days before the wedding and had been planning to tell him on their honeymoon. Instead, she'd left Seoul with a broken heart and a secret, building a new life in Paris with Chisholm's help. Her fashion house, Cynthia Atelier, had become her salvation, Afro-Asian fusion designs that had taken the fashion world by storm. And now she was back in Seoul because Kang Industries, his family's company, had offered her a contract she couldn't refuse. $2 million to design their 50th anniversary collection. Chisholm had insisted. "You can't let the past control your future, babe. Get that money and go." Cynthia had agreed on one condition. She'd never have to see him. Min-ho Kang, the man who'd left her at the altar. The man whose daughter was currently drooling on her shoulder, exhausted from travel. The universe, apparently, had other plans. The next morning, Cynthia stood in the lobby of Kang Industries, Jisun's hand firmly in hers, trying not to vomit from anxiety. The building was even more impressive than she remembered, all glass and steel, a monument to the Kang family's success. "Ms. Okonkwo?" A sharply dressed woman in her 30s approached, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "I'm Yuna Park, Mr. Kang's executive assistant. Welcome to Kang Industries." "Thank you," Cynthia said, matching her professional tone. "I'm looking forward to working with your team. Mr. Kang is very excited to meet you. He's been following your work for years." Yuna's eyes flickered to Ji-sun. "We weren't informed you'd be bringing a child." "My daughter comes with me everywhere," Cynthia said firmly. "I hope that's not a problem." "Of course not." Yuna's smile tightened. "Right this way." The elevator ride to the top floor felt eternal. Ji-sun chattered about the pretty building while Cynthia's heart hammered against her ribs. What would she say when she saw him? Would he even acknowledge what he'd done? Would he? The elevator doors opened directly into a massive corner office. And there, standing by floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul, was the man from the airport. Cynthia's world tilted sideways. He turned, and his face lit up with recognition and delight. "Oh, it's you, the woman from yesterday." He crossed the room quickly, hand extended. "What a coincidence. I'm Min-ho Kang. It's wonderful to finally meet you officially, Ms. Okonkwo." Cynthia stared at his outstretched hand, her brain refusing to process what was happening. This was Min-ho. Her Min-ho. The man who'd left her at the altar, who'd ghosted her so completely she'd thought he was dead, until his mother had made it clear he'd simply chosen not to marry her. And he was looking at her like they'd never met before. "Ms. Okonkwo?" Yuna prompted gently. Cynthia shook his hand mechanically. His grip was warm, firm, and completely impersonal. No recognition, no guilt, no memory of standing her up on the most important day of her life. "Mr. Kang," she heard herself say, "thank you for the opportunity. Please, call me Min-ho. I have to say, I've been such a fan of your work. The Afro-Asian fusion concept is brilliant. It's exactly what we need for our anniversary collection." He gestured to the conference table. "Shall we discuss the details?" Ji-sun tugged on Cynthia's hand. "Mommy, I'm hungry." Min-ho's attention shifted to Ji-sun, and for a moment, just a moment, something flickered in his eyes. "What's your name, little one?" "Ji-sun. It means wisdom and goodness. I'm 4 years old. How old are you?" Min-ho laughed, and the sound sent shivers down Cynthia's spine. She knew that laugh. She had fallen in love with that laugh 6 years ago at an art gallery opening in Gangnam. "I'm 32, he said, kneeling to Ji-sun's level. That's very old compared to you. My mommy is 30, Ji-sun announced proudly, and she makes the prettiest dresses in the whole world. I believe it. Min-ho looked up at Cynthia, and there was genuine admiration in his eyes. You have a beautiful daughter. Thank you, Cynthia whispered, because what else could she say? The meeting was torture. Min-ho was charming, professional, and enthusiastic about the project. He showed no sign of recognizing her, not her face, not her voice, not even when she laughed nervously at one of his jokes. Yuna watched everything with sharp eyes, occasionally interjecting with scheduling details or budget concerns. I'll need access to your archives, Cynthia said, flipping through the presentation materials. Historical pieces, inspiration boards, anything that speaks to the company's legacy. Of course, Yuna will arrange everything. Min-ho leaned back in his chair, studying her with an expression she couldn't quite read. I have to ask, though, have we met before? You seem so familiar. Cynthia's coffee cup froze halfway to her lips. I don't think so. Are you sure? Maybe at a fashion event? Milan? Paris? I have a very common face, Cynthia said, which was absolutely ridiculous given her striking features, but Min-ho nodded thoughtfully. Maybe you just remind me of someone. He rubbed his head suddenly, wincing. Sorry, I get these headaches sometimes. Memory issues since my accident. Accident? The word escaped before Cynthia could stop it. Car accident 5 years ago. I was in a coma for 3 weeks. He said it casually, like it was no big deal. Lost some memories from that time period. It's frustrating, but the doctors say it's permanent. Cynthia felt the room spin. 5 years ago. 3 weeks. The timing aligned perfectly with their wedding date. That must be difficult, she managed. Some days more than others. Min-ho smiled, but there was sadness in it. My family says I'm lucky to be alive. I suppose they're right. Yuna's phone buzzed. Mr. Kang, your mother is here. And just like that, Cynthia's tenuous control shattered. I need to go. She stood so abruptly that papers scattered. Ji-sun looked up in confusion as Cynthia gathered her things with shaking hands. Ms. Okonkwo, we haven't finished, Yuna started. I'll review everything at my hotel. Send me the details. Cynthia was already moving towards the elevator, pulling Ji-sun with her. Thank you for your time, Mr. Kang. Wait, I'll walk you out. No. The word came out too sharp, too panicked. Cynthia forced herself to breathe. No, thank you, I can find my way. She jabbed the elevator button repeatedly, her entire body trembling. She could feel Min-ho's confused gaze on her back and hear Yuna whispering something to him. The elevator took forever, and when the doors finally opened, Cynthia practically dove inside. The doors were closing when she heard it. Wait! A hand shot between the closing doors. They reopened to reveal Min-ho, slightly breathless, holding something. You forgot this. He handed her Ji-sun's stuffed bunny. She dropped it. Oh, thank you. Cynthia took the toy, careful not to let their fingers touch this time. Min-ho didn't move. He stood there, studying her face like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Are you afraid of me? What? No, of course not. You seem afraid, or upset. Did I do something wrong? Yes, Cynthia wanted to scream. You left me at the altar. You broke my heart. You forgot I existed. Instead, she said, I'm fine. Just tired from traveling. Jet lag. Right, of course. But he still didn't move. Ms. Okonkwo, Cynthia, if I may, I know this is forward, but would you like to have dinner? To discuss the project more informally? My treat. Every instinct screamed at her to refuse. I don't think that's appropriate. It's just dinner. I promise I'm not that terrible of a dining companion. He smiled. And God help her, it was the same smile that had convinced her to marry him 6 years ago. Besides, Ji-sun mentioned she's hungry, and I know the best Korean-Nigerian fusion restaurant in Seoul. That made Cynthia pause. Korean-Nigerian fusion? It opened about 2 years ago. The owner is from Lagos, married to a Korean chef. Their jollof rice kimchi is life-changing. His enthusiasm was genuine, infectious. Please, consider it research for the project. We're asking you to blend cultures. You should taste what successful fusion looks like. Cynthia looked at Ji-sun, who was practically vibrating with excitement at the prospect of food, then back at Min-ho's hopeful face. This was a terrible idea. One dinner, she heard herself say. For the project. Min-ho's smile could have lit up all of Seoul. Perfect. I'll pick you up at 7? We'll meet you there. Even better, I'll text you the address. He paused. Wait, I don't have your number. Yuna does. She can send it to you. Right, yes, of course. He was babbling now, suddenly nervous, and it was so endearing that Cynthia had to look away. I'll see you tonight then. The elevator doors closed, and Cynthia sagged against the wall, her heart racing. Mommy, are you sick? Ji-sun asked worriedly. No, baby, Mommy's just confused. About what? About everything, Cynthia thought. About how the man who abandoned her didn't remember her. About whether his amnesia was real or an elaborate act. About why her traitorous heart had skipped a beat when he smiled. About whether she could survive 2 weeks in Seoul without falling apart. The restaurant was exactly as advertised, a cozy space in Itaewon where K-pop played over speakers, and the smell of jollof rice mixed with kimchi jjigae. The owner, a warm Nigerian woman named Ngozi, greeted Min-ho like family. Ah, Min-ho, you finally brought a date! She beamed at Cynthia. And such a beautiful one! Welcome, welcome! Oh, we're not, Cynthia started. Actually on a date, Min-ho finished quickly. This is business. Cynthia is designing a collection for us. Mm-hmm, Ngozi winked. Business, of course. Well, business lady, what can I get you? Dinner was unexpectedly wonderful. Min-ho was funny, self-deprecating, and genuinely interested in Ji-sun's chatter about her favorite cartoons. He asked thoughtful questions about Cynthia's design process, her inspiration, and her journey from Chicago to Paris. He listened, really listened in a way that made her feel seen. And he remembered nothing. Can I ask you something? Cynthia said, halfway through her jollof rice kimchi, which was indeed life-changing. Your accident. What do you remember from before? Min-ho set down his chopsticks. Honestly? Not much from the weeks leading up to it. My family fills in the gaps, but it's like hearing someone else's story. I know the facts, but don't feel the memories, if that makes sense. What do they tell you? About that time? Work stuff, mostly. A few business trips. My sister says I was stressed about some big decision, but she won't tell me what. He smiled ruefully. Everyone's very protective. They think if I remember something traumatic, it'll trigger another episode. Episode? Seizures. I had them for about a year after waking up. They've stopped now, but the doctors warn that stress or forced memory recovery could bring them back. He reached for his water glass. So I've learned to let it go. Whatever I forgot, it wasn't meant to stay. Cynthia's throat tightened. How convenient for his family, telling him to forget. Telling him the woman he'd almost married wasn't meant to stay. What about relationships? She asked carefully. Did you have a girlfriend before the accident? Something flickered in Min-ho's expression. My mother says no, that I was too focused on work to date seriously. He paused. But sometimes I have these dreams, of a woman in white. Cherry blossoms are falling. And I'm running, desperate to get somewhere, but I can't make it in time. His eyes met hers. Do you believe in past lives? I don't know, Cynthia whispered. I think maybe I loved someone, in another life, or in the life I forgot. And sometimes I can almost feel her, like she's just out of reach." He laughed, embarrassed. "Sorry, that's probably too much information for a business dinner." "No," Cynthia said softly. "It's not too much." Ji-sun, who'd been quietly coloring on the kids' menu, suddenly looked up. "Mommy, why are you crying?" Cynthia hadn't realized she was. She wiped her eyes quickly. "Just something in my eye, baby." But Min-ho was watching her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. "Cynthia, are you sure we've never met?" "I'm sure. Because when you cry, I feel like I should know how to fix it, like muscle memory, and that's impossible if we're strangers." The air between them crackled with tension. Cynthia wanted to tell him everything about their love story, the proposal at Namsan Tower, the wedding that never was, the daughter sitting between them who had his eyes and her smile. But what if the truth triggered a seizure? What if trying to make him remember broke him? What if his amnesia was a lie, and he'd chosen to forget her? "We should go," Cynthia said abruptly. "It's late, and Ji-sun has school tomorrow." "School? You're enrolling her here?" "Just a part-time program at the International school, to keep her busy while I work." Min-ho signaled for the check. "Let me drive you back to your hotel." "That's not necessary." "Cynthia." He said her name like a prayer. "Please, let me do this one thing." She was too tired to argue. His car was exactly what she expected. Expensive, immaculate, with a child seat already installed in the back. When she raised an eyebrow, Min-ho shrugged. "My sister has twins. I pick them up sometimes." Ji-sun fell asleep immediately, exhausted from the day. In the quiet car, with Seoul's lights streaming past the windows, Cynthia felt the walls she'd built begin to crack. "Thank you for dinner," she said quietly. "Thank you for saying yes. I know it was probably unprofessional to ask." "It was definitely unprofessional." Min-ho laughed. "I have a confession. The project, yes, I'm excited about it, but I also just wanted an excuse to spend time with you." Cynthia's breath caught. "Why?" "Because when I first bumped into you at the airport, before I even knew who you were, I felt something. Like recognition, like relief, like finding something I didn't know I'd lost." He glanced at her, then back at the road. "That probably sounds crazy." "No," Cynthia whispered. "It sounds honest. I don't usually feel things like this. According to my family, I've been emotionally closed off since the accident. But you—" He trailed off, seeming to struggle for words. "You make me feel awake." They reached her hotel too soon. Min-ho parked and helped her get Ji-sun out of the car, carrying the sleeping child through the lobby like it was the most natural thing in the world. In the elevator, Ji-sun stirred and mumbled, "Daddy?" Cynthia froze. Min-ho stiffened. "She's dreaming," Cynthia said quickly. "She does that sometimes, mixes up faces from her cartoons." "Right, of course." But Min-ho looked shaken. At her hotel room door, he carefully transferred Ji-sun to Cynthia's arms. His hands lingered on the child's back, protective and tender. "Cynthia," he said quietly, "I know this is going to sound strange, but can I see you again? Outside of work?" "Min-ho—" I know, it's too fast. You probably think I'm being inappropriate. But I've learned something from losing my memories. Life's too short to pretend you don't feel things. And I feel something with you." Cynthia's heart was breaking all over again. Because this was the Min-ho she'd fallen in love with. Earnest, vulnerable, brave enough to reach for what he wanted. And she couldn't have him. Not when he didn't remember choosing her once already. Not when the truth might destroy him. "I can't," she whispered. "I'm sorry, but I can't." Hurt flashed across his face. "Is it because of Ji-sun's father? Are you still in love with him?" "It's complicated." Does he know he has an amazing daughter? No. He doesn't know anything. Then he's an idiot. Min-ho's jaw tightened. Sorry, that's not my place. You deserve better than complicated. Life is complicated, Min-ho. You of all people should understand that. I understand more than you think. He stepped back, creating distance. I'll see you tomorrow at the office. Professional, I promise. He walked away before she could respond, shoulders tense, and Cynthia watched him go with tears streaming down her face. Inside the hotel room, she put Ji-sun to bed and called Chisholm. Girl, please tell me you didn't sleep with him already. What? No, Chisholm, he doesn't remember me. Excuse me? The accident. He has amnesia, 5 years of memories, gone, including our entire relationship. Chisholm was silent for a long moment. That's actually terrible. What are you going to do? I don't know. Finish the job. Leave. Forget this ever happened. Can you forget? I've been trying for 5 years. Haven't managed it yet. Cynthia, honey, maybe this is your chance. To start over. He's falling for you all over again. I can hear it in your voice. Maybe the universe is giving you a second chance. Or maybe the universe is mocking me. Besides, what if I tell him and he doesn't believe me? What if his family convinced him I was some gold digger who left when things got hard? What if they did? Cynthia, you have proof. You have Ji-sun. She looks exactly like him. Which is why I'm keeping her away from him as much as possible. That's not sustainable for 2 weeks. Watch me. But Chisholm was right. It wasn't sustainable. The next morning, Cynthia dropped Ji-sun at the International School's day program and headed to Kang Industries, determined to be professional. She'd stay focused on work, maintain boundaries, and absolutely not think about how Min-ho's eyes had looked last night when he said she made him feel awake. Yuna met her in the lobby with a tablet and an itinerary. Mr. Kang is in meetings all morning, but he's arranged for you to access the archives. I'll show you to the Heritage Room. The Heritage Room was magnificent, climate-controlled, organized chronologically, full of sketches and fabric samples and photographs documenting 50 years of Kang Industries. Cynthia lost herself in the work, pulling inspiration from traditional Korean pojagi wrapping cloths and West African kente patterns, seeing how they could merge into something new. She was so absorbed that she didn't hear the door open behind her. That one's my favorite. Cynthia spun around. Min-ho stood in the doorway, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up, looking exhausted and beautiful. I thought you had meetings all day, she said. I canceled them. Yuna is furious, but I didn't care. He moved closer, studying the photograph she'd been examining, a black and white image of traditional Korean craftspeople. I wanted to see you. Min-ho, we talked about this. I know, professional. I'm trying, Cynthia, I really am. But it's like there's this magnetic pull, and I don't understand it, and it's driving me crazy. You need to fight it. Why? He stopped directly in front of her. Give me one good reason why I should fight feeling something real for the first time in 5 years. Because it can't work. Why not? Because you left me. Because you forgot me. Because I can't survive having my heart broken by you twice. She couldn't say it out loud. Because I'm leaving in 2 weeks. So stay longer. I have a life in Paris, a business, a daughter who needs stability. Bring her here. Open a Seoul branch. I'll invest. Stop. Cynthia put her hand on his chest, trying to create space, but the touch backfired. She could feel his heartbeat, rapid and strong, matching her own. You don't even know me. Then let me know you. Have dinner with me again. Let me meet Ji-sun properly. Give me a chance. Why do you care so much? You just met me. Because when I'm with you, I don't feel like I'm missing something anymore. His hand covered hers on his chest. And I felt like I'm missing something for 5 years. The door burst open, making them both jump apart. A young woman strode in, petite, fashionable, with Min-ho's eyes. "Appa, mother is looking for—" "Oh." She stopped short, taking in the scene. "Sorry, I didn't realize you were busy." "Minji, this is Cynthia Okonkwo, the designer. Cynthia, my little sister, Minji." But Minji wasn't looking at Cynthia's face. She was staring at her hands, at the distinctive silver ring Cynthia had forgotten she was wearing. The ring Min-ho had given her 6 years ago, inscribed with both their initials in English and Korean. Minji's eyes went wide. "Oh my God!" "What?" Min-ho asked. "Nothing, I need to talk to you. Now, in private." Minji grabbed her brother's arm. "Excuse us, Ms. Okonkwo." She physically dragged Min-ho from the room, leaving Cynthia standing there, heart pounding. Through the door, she could hear their raised voices. "Minji, what's going on?" "Appa, I need to tell you something. About your accident. About what happened before. We've talked about this. The doctor said—" "Screw the doctors! You deserve to know the truth." Their voices faded as they moved down the hall. Cynthia sank into a chair, shaking. This was falling apart faster than she'd anticipated. She needed to grab Ji-sun and get on the next flight to Paris before— Her phone rang. The school. "Ms. Okonkwo, I'm afraid there's been an incident with Ji-sun. Nothing serious, but could you come pick her up?" Cynthia was out the door in seconds. At the school, she found Ji-sun sitting in the principal's office, tears streaming down her face, while a teacher tried unsuccessfully to comfort her. "Baby, what happened?" Ji-sun launched herself into Cynthia's arms. "The other kids said I'm lying. They said I don't have a daddy because my skin is different, and their mommies said Korean men don't marry black women and I'm a mistake." White-hot rage flooded Cynthia's system. "They said what?" The principal looked deeply uncomfortable. "Ms. Okonkwo, it was a misunderstanding between children. Children learn prejudice from adults. I want the names of every parent whose child said these things to my daughter." "That's not our policy." "Then maybe I should call my lawyer, or better yet, the press. I'm sure they'd love to hear about an international school tolerating racism." The principal paled. "Please, let's not be hasty." The door opened. Min-ho rushed in, Min-ji right behind him. "Cynthia, I got your text." He stopped short, seeing Ji-sun's tears. His expression transformed into something dangerous. "Who made her cry?" "How did you— I didn't text you." "I did," Min-ji said quietly. "I have Cynthia's number from the business files. Appa, we need to talk, all of us." "Later, right now." Min-ho knelt in front of Ji-sun. "Hey, little one, what's wrong?" "They said I'm a mistake," Ji-sun sobbed. "They said I don't have a daddy." Min-ho's jaw clenched. He looked at the principal. "I'm Min-ho Kang. My family sits on your board. If any child in this school is being taught that racial prejudice is acceptable, I will personally ensure funding is pulled and an investigation is launched. Am I clear?" The principal nearly fell over himself, apologizing. "Mr. Kang, I assure you—" "I don't want assurances. I want action. By tomorrow, I want a diversity training program implemented for students and parents. I want a written apology to Ms. Okonkwo and her daughter, and I want the families responsible to be held accountable." He stood, still holding Ji-sun's hand. "Come on, we're leaving." He marched out of the office like a general, Ji-sun clinging to him, Cynthia and Min-ji hurrying to keep up. In the parking lot, he finally stopped and took a breath. "I'm sorry," he said to Cynthia. "I overstepped. That wasn't my place." "Thank you," Cynthia interrupted, "for standing up for her." "Of course." He looked genuinely confused that she'd think he'd do anything else. "No one talks to her like that, to either of you like that." Ji-sun had stopped crying, fascinated by this man who'd defended her so fiercely. "Are you a superhero?" Min-ho laughed, the tension breaking slightly. "No, I'm just someone who hates bullies." My mommy says my daddy was a superhero. Are you him? The parking lot went completely silent. Min-ho looked at Cynthia, then at Ji-sun, then back at Cynthia. What did she just say? She's 4, Cynthia said desperately. She doesn't understand. Cynthia. Minji's voice was gentle but firm. He needs to know. He deserves to know. Know what? Min-ho demanded. Someone tell me what's going on right now. Minji pulled out her phone, scrolling through photos. Appa, 5 years ago, on October 15th. Do you know what you were supposed to do? No, that's one of the missing months. You were supposed to get married. Minji turned her phone around, showing him a photo. It was a wedding invitation, elegant calligraphy in Korean and English. Min-ho Kang and Cynthia Okonkwo request the honor of your presence. Min-ho stared at it, then at Cynthia, his face going white. What is this? The truth, Minji said quietly. You were engaged. The morning of your wedding, you had the accident. When you woke up, Mother told you it had been called off, that Cynthia had left Korea. She made us all lie to you. Why would she? Min-ho's voice cracked. Why would you all lie to me? Because the doctor said stress could kill you, and Mother thought. Minji looked miserable. She thought Cynthia was too much stress, that the relationship was too controversial, too complicated. She made a choice. Min-ho turned to Cynthia, devastation in his eyes. Is this true? We were engaged? Cynthia couldn't speak, could only nod. And the wedding? I left you at the altar. You were in an accident. You didn't choose to leave, but yes, I waited for you, and you never came. And Ji-sun? His voice broke completely. Is she mine? Cynthia lifted her chin, met his eyes. Yes. The sound Min-ho made was inhuman. He staggered backward, hand pressed to his chest like he'd been shot. I have a daughter. We have a daughter. And no one told me. Your family said you didn't want me. Your mother called me unsuitable. I was pregnant and heartbroken and I left. I didn't know. God, Cynthia, I didn't know. He was hyperventilating now, his face flushed. 5 years. I've lost 5 years with her. With you. And everyone lied. Appa, breathe, Minji urged, grabbing his arm. You need to calm down. But Min-ho couldn't calm down. His eyes rolled back, and he collapsed. Ji-sun screamed. Cynthia lunged forward, but Minji was already there, cradling her brother's head. Call an ambulance, Minji shouted. He's having a seizure. The hospital waiting room was sterile and silent. Ji-sun slept in Cynthia's lap while Minji paced, phone pressed to her ear, having furious whispered conversations with various family members. Cynthia hadn't moved in 2 hours, watching the emergency room doors, waiting for news. This was her fault. She should have left, should have refused the contract, stayed in Paris, never come back to Seoul. Cynthia. Minji sat down beside her. This isn't your fault. He had a seizure because of me. He had a seizure because our family has been lying to him for 5 years, because the stress of the truth was always going to surface eventually. Minji took her hand. I'm sorry. For lying to him. For letting Mother convince us that keeping you away was the right thing. You were protecting him. We were being cowards. Minji looked at Ji-sun. She looks just like him. How did Mother not realize you were here in Seoul with his daughter? She doesn't know I'm here. Yuna handled all the contract negotiations. Yuna. Minji's expression darkened. That woman has been in love with Appa for years. She probably knew exactly who you were and didn't tell anyone. Before Cynthia could respond, a doctor emerged. Family of Min-ho Kang? They both stood. How is he? Minji asked. Stable. The seizure was stress-induced, as we suspected. We've given him medication to help him rest. The doctor looked sympathetic. He's asking for someone named Cynthia. Cynthia's heart stopped. He is? He's quite insistent. Says he needs to talk to you. But I must warn you, his memory may be fragmented right now. The seizure can cause temporary confusion. Can I see him? 5 minutes. Try not to agitate him. Minji took Ji-sun from Cynthia's arms. Go, I've got her. Min-ho's hospital room was dark except for monitoring equipment. He looked small in the bed, IV in his arm, eyes closed. Cynthia approached quietly, not wanting to disturb him. I remember, he said without opening his eyes. Not everything, but pieces, images, feelings. Cynthia's breath caught. Min-ho, I remember proposing to you at Namsan Tower. You cried and said yes immediately, then worried you'd seemed too eager. His eyes opened, finding hers in the dim light. I remember teaching you how to make kimchi in my apartment kitchen. You laughed so hard you snorted, and I thought it was the most beautiful sound in the world. Tears streamed down Cynthia's face. Stop. You don't have to. I remember the morning of the wedding. I was running late because I'd driven to Incheon to pick up your mother from the airport. It was supposed to be a surprise. His voice cracked. I remember my phone ringing. My mother, screaming at me to turn around to stop this mistake before it was too late. And I remember thinking, she's not a mistake. She's my whole world. Min-ho, please. I remember the car accident, the impact, and then nothing until I woke up and they told me you were gone, that you'd changed your mind about us. He reached for her hand. I believed them. I'm so sorry, Cynthia. I believed them. You had no reason not to. I had every reason, because if I'd really loved you, I would have felt your absence. I would have known something was wrong. He pulled her hand to his chest, over his racing heart. But I felt it today, when I found out the truth, like someone had ripped my heart out all over again. I'm sorry, Cynthia whispered, for leaving, for not fighting harder. You were pregnant and alone in a foreign country where my family had made it clear you weren't welcome. You survived. You built an empire. You raised our daughter to be brave and kind. He smiled through his own tears. You have nothing to apologize for. I kept Ji-sun from you. My family kept me from Ji-sun. There's a difference. He squeezed her hand. Can I meet her? Properly? As her father? She's outside with your sister. Then bring her in, please. I've already lost 5 years. I don't want to lose another minute. Cynthia went to get Ji-sun, who woke up cranky and confused. Where are we? Hospital, baby. Remember? Min-ho got sick. The superhero man? Yes, the superhero man. He wants to talk to you. Ji-sun perked up immediately. In the hospital room, she approached the bed cautiously, studying Min-ho with serious eyes. Hi, Ji-sun, Min-ho said softly. I'm Min-ho, but I'm your daddy. Ji-sun tilted her head. Really? Really? Do you live in a kingdom far away? Min-ho's laugh was watery. No, I live right here in Seoul. I just didn't know about you until today. Why not? Because I got very sick and forgot some important things. But I remember now. And I want to get to know you, if that's okay. Ji-sun considered this carefully. Then she climbed onto the hospital bed, curling up next to him with the confidence of a child who'd never known rejection. Okay, can you read me a story? I don't have a book. Make one up. Mommy does it all the time. Min-ho looked at Cynthia over their daughter's head, his expression full of wonder and grief and love. Once upon a time, he began, there was a prince who forgot the most important person in his life. He forgot her name, her smile, the way she made him feel like he could fly. Cynthia watched him weave their story into a fairy tale, making Ji-sun giggle with funny voices and dramatic gestures. She watched their daughter relax into her father's arms like she'd been waiting her whole life for this moment. And she felt her own carefully constructed walls finally, completely crumble. The next morning, Cynthia woke up in an uncomfortable hospital chair to find Minji standing over her with coffee. "You look terrible," Minji said cheerfully. "Thanks." "Appa's being discharged. Mother is on her way to discuss things." Minji made air quotes. "It's going to be World War III. Maybe I should leave." "You absolutely should not leave. He needs you here. Ji-sun needs you here. And honestly, someone needs to finally tell Mother that she doesn't get to control everyone's lives." Mrs. Kang arrived like a winter storm, elegant, cold, furious. She swept into Min-ho's room while he was getting dressed, Cynthia and Ji-sun waiting in the hallway with Minji. Through the door, they could hear the argument. "How dare you keep this from me?" Min-ho's voice, sharp with anger. "I was protecting you. You were controlling me. You made me believe a lie for 5 years. That woman was wrong for you. That woman is the mother of my child. She's the person I loved enough to marry." Loved. Past tense. You don't even know her anymore. Then let me get to know her again. Let me decide what's right for my life. Silence. Then Mrs. Kang's voice, quieter. "The accident was my fault. If I hadn't called you that morning, if I hadn't been so cruel." "You're right, it was your fault. And you've spent 5 years compounding that mistake by lying to everyone." "I thought I was doing what was best." "For who? Certainly not for me. Not for Cynthia. Not for my daughter who's been growing up without a father." A pause. "You need to leave now. I can't look at you right now." "Min-ho. Go, please." The door opened. Mrs. Kang emerged, her perfect composure cracked, mascara smudged. She looked at Cynthia with an unreadable expression. "You," she said. "You came back." "I came back for work, not for him." "But you brought his daughter. You gave him a chance to get to know her." "I didn't have a choice. You made sure of that with your contract." Mrs. Kang's eyes widened. "The contract? Yuna said you were just a designer from Paris. She never mentioned—" Realization dawned. She knew who you were, and she didn't tell me." "Looks like your spy was loyal to someone else," Minji said coldly. Mrs. Kang straightened her shoulders, gathering her dignity. "I owe you an apology, Ms. Okonkwo, a profound one, but words seem inadequate for what I've done." "You're right, they are." "Nevertheless." Mrs. Kang reached into her purse, pulling out a business card. "My therapist. She specializes in family reconciliation. I've already scheduled sessions for myself. If you and Min-ho wish to attend together, I'll pay for everything." "We don't need your money," Cynthia said. "No, but you might need help navigating this. All of you." She looked at Ji-sun, who was hiding behind Cynthia's legs. "Hello, little one." "I'm your grandmother." Ji-sun peeked out. "The mean grandma Mommy won't talk about?" "Ji-sun," Cynthia gasped, but Mrs. Kang's lips twitched, almost a smile. "Yes, the mean grandma. But I'm hoping to become a better grandma if you'll give me a chance." "Do you have cookies?" "I can get cookies." "Then okay." Mrs. Kang left shortly after, visibly shaken. Min-ho emerged from his room fully dressed, spots of color high on his cheeks. "I'm sorry you had to hear that," he said to Cynthia. "I'm not. She needed to hear it." Cynthia hesitated. "The therapy suggestion is probably a good idea. We have a lot to work through." He picked up Ji-sun, settling her on his hip like he'd been doing it for years. "But first, I'm taking my girls to breakfast, if that's okay with you?" "Your girls?" "My daughter. And the woman I'm hoping will give me a second chance." Cynthia's heart fluttered. "Min-ho, it's been 1 day since you found out the truth." "I know. And I know we need to take things slow. Get to know each other again. Build trust." He shifted Ji-sun to his other hip. "But I also know that I spent 5 years feeling like something was missing. And now I know what it was. It was you. It was us. It was the family we were supposed to have. You can't just pick up where we left off. I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting we start something new, with honesty this time. No lies, no interference, just us figuring out if what we had can become something even better. Ji-sun tugged on Min-ho's collar. Daddy, I'm hungry. Daddy. The word made them both freeze. Ji-sun said it so naturally, like she'd been waiting her whole life to use it. Min-ho's eyes filled with tears. Okay, baby, let's get you some pancakes. Breakfast became lunch, became dinner, became a week of Min-ho clearing his schedule to spend time with them. He took Ji-sun to Lotte World, taught her how to make kimbap, and read her bedtime stories in Korean. He courted Cynthia slowly, coffee dates while Ji-sun was at a new, carefully vetted school, museum visits, long walks along the Han River where they talked about everything and nothing. He remembered more each day. Their first kiss at an art gallery opening, the night he'd introduced her to his friends, her teaching him how to dance to Afro beats. But he also made new memories, and those felt just as precious. Yuna was fired when it came out that she'd known Cynthia's identity and hidden it, hoping to sabotage any reconciliation. Mrs. Kang started therapy and slowly, painfully, began to earn back her son's trust. Minji became Ji-sun's favorite aunt, spoiling her with presents and teaching her Korean swear words, much to Cynthia's horror. And Cynthia felt herself falling in love all over again, with the man Min-ho had become, with the father he was determined to be, with the future they were building, one honest conversation at a time. 2 weeks became a month. The contract was finished, a stunning collection that made headlines for its bold cultural fusion. But Cynthia didn't leave. One evening, 3 months after that fateful collision at the airport, Min-ho took Cynthia back to Namsan Tower, where he'd first proposed. I brought you here because I want to do this right, he said, taking her hands. 6 years ago, I asked you to marry me, and you said yes. But we never got our happy ending. Min-ho, I'm not proposing, not yet. We agreed to take things slow. He smiled. But I am making you a promise. I promise to remember us not just the past, but the present, every moment. I promise to be the father Ji-sun deserves and the partner you deserve. And I promise that when I do propose again, because I will, it'll be at a time when you're absolutely sure you want to say yes. I'm sure now, Cynthia whispered. Are you? Really? No doubts? She kissed him then, there at the top of Namsan Tower with all of Seoul spread out below them, and it felt like coming home. No doubts, she said against his lips. Ask me. Cynthia Okonkwo. Min-ho knelt, pulling out a ring, not the one he'd given her 6 years ago, but something new, a fusion of Korean and Nigerian design, just like them. Will you marry me, again? For real this time? Yes, she laughed through happy tears. Yes, yes, yes. He slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her like a man who'd finally found what he'd been searching for. Around them, tourists applauded. Somewhere in the crowd, Minji whooped loudly, while Ji-sun, perched on her shoulders, demanded to know what was happening. Mommy's getting married, Minji announced. To Daddy? Yes, to Daddy. Good, Ji-sun said decisively. He gives the best hugs. 6 months later, they married at the same venue where they'd almost married 5 years before. But this time, Min-ho arrived early. This time, both families celebrated together. Cynthia's mother from Chicago, Min-ho's reformed mother, Nigerian relatives, and Korean relatives mingling over fusion food and shared joy. Ji-sun was the flower girl, wearing a dress that perfectly matched her mother's gown. Cynthia's final design, a masterpiece that made every fashion magazine in Asia and Africa. And when Min-ho lifted Cynthia's veil, when they exchanged vows that included promises to Ji-sun and any future children. When they kissed as husband and wife while cherry blossoms, artificial this time but beautiful nonetheless, fell around them, Cynthia thought about the journey that brought them here, the heartbreak, the healing, the second chance that almost wasn't. "I love you," Min-ho whispered against her lips. "And I'm going to tell you that every day for the rest of our lives, so I never forget again." "I love you too," Cynthia said. "And I'm never letting you go." Behind them, Ji-sun giggled. "Daddy, you're supposed to kiss Mommy longer, like in the movies." So Min-ho did, dipping Cynthia dramatically while their daughter cheered and their families laughed, and Seoul's skyline glittered in the background. It wasn't the ending they'd planned 6 years ago. It was better. Because they'd chosen it. Together. Honestly. With eyes wide open and hearts ready to risk everything for love. And in the end, that made all the difference. If you enjoyed this story of Cynthia and Min-ho's journey from heartbreak to healing, please hit that like button, subscribe for more Afro-Korean love stories, and comment below telling us, would you give someone a second chance if they truly forgot you? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and remember, love always finds a way, even through amnesia, family drama, and 5 years of separation. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next story.